in my opinion, we're really starting to get to the super exciting part of trigonometry. I love trig identities. I love using them to solve equations. This stuff just feels like magic. In just a minute here, I'm going to put a bunch of trig identities up on the screen. Before I get to that, I want to talk to you guys about what they are. A trig identity is effectively a mathematical equation that is true for all values of theta. So it's not like, x squared equals 4, which is true when x is 2 or when x is negative 2. These are statements that are true for all values of the variable. Because of that, we can use these equations, these identities, to sort of change out sections of things. So I'm going to put some up on screen so we can see them, and I'll talk a little bit more about what they are. I definitely wish the text on those was a little bit larger. In not the comments, but I guess the description of the video, I'll put a link to this file so you guys can download a higher res copy of it, and you can look at it a little bit better. But let me take, actually we can take a bunch of them that we already know. These ones over here are called the reciprocal identities, right? These are where you see things like, oh, sine theta is literally equal to 1 over cosecant theta. Cosecant theta is literally equal to 1 over sine theta. And we've used those before. There have been positions where we have changed one of these things into the other. Right? The ones that you haven't seen are all of these over here. And to be honest, each one of them has its own interesting story. I'm not going to get into probably any of those stories in these videos, but we will talk about some of them during class. One thing that I'll mention to you is that a lot of these equations, a lot of these identities, can be found from one another. So for instance, this one here says that sine squared theta is 1 minus cosine squared theta. If you just move the cosine squared over here and move the sine squared over to the other side, you'll end up with this one here. All three of these are sort of the same thing, just different manipulations, which means we could do the same sorts of things on these ones. If you take a look over here, this one starts out by saying that cosine 2 theta is cosine squared minus sine squared. Then there's two other versions of cosine 2 theta. Where these two things come from is taking the sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1 and substituting in for one or the other of these to get the other two equations. I was going to go through a number of examples in this video, but I've decided what I'd rather do is I'd rather say take the 8 or 10 minutes you would have spent watching the rest of the video that I would have made here and make flashcards for these. Getting these things memorized, getting these in your heads and firmly there is really important. There are some other trig identities, but these are the really big ones. These are the ones that I consider to be memorization worthy. I'd say there are 6 to 10 more of them that, to be honest, I'm probably not going to expect you to really memorize, or they're ones that we can get from these. So like I said, make some flashcards for these, start memorizing them, and get ready to see magic in class. I'll see you there.